Peeps, and these are one of my favorite Easter candies. Now, while making this recipe, I did run into a couple issues. You have to understand that Peeps are made with corn syrup. Corn syrup, being an invert sugar, helps them to be more fluffy because it stops the sugar from crystallizing. Alright, now let's go ahead and get this mixed up. The first thing we're going to need here is 1/3 cup cool water. We're going to go ahead and place that in our mixing bowl. Next, we will take 3 tablespoons of gelatin, and we're going to take this gelatin, and what we're going to do is sprinkle it in the water, trying to make sure that as we sprinkle this into our water, it all dissolves and you don't get any high spots where the gelatin doesn't actually get absorbed by the water. And if you do get some high spots, don't worry, because the next step, we'll go ahead and get those dissolved. We just want to limit those. Now let's put this to the side, and we're going to go ahead and start boiling our water. So now we're going to go ahead and need an additional 1 cup of water. Remember, we had 1/3 cup, so it will be a total of 1 1/3 cup. Now we're going to take our 1 cup water, we're going to go ahead and place it in our pan. Now when I place this in, I like to make sure it doesn't splash up on the edges. It is important to keep splashing with both the water and your sugar to a minimum. Now as you're pouring this into your pan, you want to keep it in the center. Now the reason for keeping it in the center is that if you get dust and sugar on the edges of the pan, you are going to risk crystallization, and we do not want that. So as you pour it in, you want to make sure you pour center pan. This will allow that sugar to naturally just fall down into the water, not onto the side or edges of your pan. Alright, once you've got all your sugar transferred into your pan, you're going to go ahead and set that to the side. Now we're going to go ahead and start this up. I'm going to start it at 275. We want this to come to a slow rolling boil. Alright, just a quick tip while making this. I used about 10 bags of allulose, and when I started, I was using the brand I usually use, but since I use so much, I had to go ahead and go to Walmart and pick up Splenda, which I do not recommend as an allulose. Wholesome here is a very good one. You have to get it on Amazon. The Splenda was not good because it had a burnt smell to it, and it didn't taste quite as good as the Wholesome, which is definitely the one that I would choose. Alright, enough of that. Let's get back to our boiling water. Now you want this water to come to a slow boil, and as we watch this boil, you'll see that it's slowly going to go from cloudy to a clear mixture. Alright, now that our water has reached a rolling boil, it's time to get out our candy thermometer. I picked this candy thermometer up at Walmart, and it works rather well. Now, some have charts on them, as this one does, so it will tell you when you look at the side here, and what we're looking for is softball. Softball stage will be from 234 to 240. Once it reaches that point, we're going to go ahead and remove the pan from the stove. Okay, so when you put this in the pan, it is very important that you put it in the liquid. Do not touch the bottom of the pan. If you do touch the bottom of the pan, you're going to get a false reading. And that false reading can easily mess up your whole recipe, so we do not want to do that. Patience is definitely required for this because you're going to slowly watch this red line creep up. Another very important thing to do is to make sure that you keep it in the liquid. Do not pull the thermometer in and out. Keep it in the liquid until you reach 234 to 240. Now once you've reached that softball stage, you're going to go ahead and remove your thermometer and take it off of the heat. Now once I've removed it from the heat, I'll go ahead and let it rest for a minute or two, because high heat and gelatin do not go very well. Now we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of our sugar water and pour it into the gelatin. We're only going to use a little at this point just to get this gelatin dissolved a little more before adding the full amount of the liquid. Now with the gelatin mix, we're going to go ahead and add in the remaining balance of the water. Once this is mixed in, we're going to continue mixing it until it starts to become white and creamy. Now it's time to add our vanilla extract. We're going to go ahead and add 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. The next ingredient will be monk fruit extract. And guys, I cannot stress enough the use of monk fruit extract. The reason we're using this is it's 200 times the potency of sugar. And while we use allulose, we're losing some of that sweetness. This is why they add it to your erythritols. A little bit goes a long way. Alright, we're going to go ahead and add in only a 1/4 teaspoon of this monk fruit extract. Alright, we will continue mixing this to almost a nougat-like thickness. This is stick to your ribs right here. Now as you see right here, I've got a container with a large gallon Ziploc bag in it. I found this to be the easiest way to transfer this marshmallow without making a huge mess, because let's face it, working with marshmallow can be very messy. Alright, we're going to go ahead and transfer this into my piping bag or my makeshift piping bag. And as you see, you can see again here how thick this is. Thickness is very important here because we're going to need these to stand up as we pipe them out here in a few moments. Now here's a second tip I have. This is what really made this successful. As you see, I have these in a gallon bag and they're spread out. What I found when I first started making this is as I put them in a piping bag and went to lay them, as I pushed out marshmallow, the marshmallow that was inside the piping bag was a little warmer, so it tended to droop. I let it set in the piping bag for a little while, and I still kind of had the same problem. So what I came up with is this. Go ahead and slam down the bag and level this out. By doing this, you're going to allow that marshmallow cream to go ahead and cool at a more consistent rate. So this is going to help when we go ahead and begin to pipe it. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and take our bag, shake it down to the base, and before you do that, you want to go ahead and open it up and make a way for this air to escape. So just leave a small area open and go ahead and push this down into the V of your gallon bag. Now, let's go back to what I should have done before we did this. Before doing any piping, we want to coat whatever surface we're using with sprinkled erythritol. This is going to help it not to stick as much. Don't think for a minute that you're not going to have some sticky problems when you're dealing with marshmallows. I did learn a couple tricks that I'm going to share with you guys as we get into this video. Okay, let's go ahead and take this erythritol and you're going to sprinkle it across whatever you're using. In this case, I'm using a Teflon cookie sheet. Now that we have that done, now we're going to snip the end of our piping bag. Go ahead and remove that from the tray. We don't want no plastics in our Peeps. We're going to go ahead and twist this up and get ready to start piping. Now I'm going to go ahead and start laying down these Peeps, and I'll lay the base down first, and I'll lay down 6 of these. Now once I get these 6 laid down, we're going to go ahead and move on to the head. As you see here, we're going to go ahead and make the head and the beak. Alright, let's go ahead and buzz through these and move on to the rabbit you saw in the thumbnail. I did find a trick while adjusting for the rabbit. I actually cut a V in the end of that bag, and it made a huge difference in giving me a higher level for the marshmallow cream. We'll go ahead and finish out this rabbit, which I was quite pleased with. And now we're going to go on to the next step, which is sanding these. Now I found when sanding them, if I actually sprinkled it through a strainer, it actually helped tremendously in dispersing the sugar as you sprinkle it on your marshmallow. I put a little too much there, but that's okay. And now for the second tip. Take you a silicone brush, and this works great for basically dusting off your marshmallow. These marshmallows are very, very sticky, and if you grab a hold of them, you will regret it because they will stick to your finger and you cannot get them off. Well, correction, but I'm sure people don't want you licking your fingers and then touching all of the marshmallows they may soon be eating. Now we're going to go ahead and finish dusting this off, and then we'll get to our second, sweeping it under the rug. This will help release your Peep for a perfect marshmallow Peep, as you see here. And now for the final step, giving him his eyes and nose. And I accomplished this by simply warming chocolate wafers in the microwave, placing them in a Ziploc baggie, and squeezing them out. And there you have it, guys, a sugar-free ketogenic Peep. Hey, I want to thank my subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And as always, please like, comment, and share this video. I'll see you in the next one. And if you like what you saw, please check out these playlists.